Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to begin with a very simple thought. These are turbulent times in our lives, and in moments like these I sincerely wish that all of us can reach a stage of balance of peace and of growth. Now let's get straight to the topic of today's talk, our free time. Free time is a strange thing. It can lift us up or drag us down. It can drive us toward happiness, or it can quietly ruin us. Free time is the space in which life often gets stuck, and yet free time also gives us the most powerful opportunities to shape our future. Why did I choose to talk about free time today? As I mentioned at the very beginning of this video, every morning I have a small routine. After I spend some quiet time sitting and reflecting, I always take out my notebook, my personal collection of lessons, insights, and reminders that I've gathered through the years. The truth is, I'm a forgetful person. I can't remember everything I learn. So instead of letting those lessons disappear, I review them every single day. Page by page, I remind myself of what I've written down, because sometimes the most important truths are the ones we've already heard but failed to practice. And this morning, one note jumped out at me again. It was a quote by Albert Einstein. It's a quote I've read many times before. I've looked at it, nodded my head, and then moved on. But today, for some reason, it hit me differently. This time it didn't feel like just another line of wisdom. It felt alive, emotional, urgent. The quote goes like this: "The only truly fair thing in this world is time. And the difference between people comes from how they use their free time." Think about that for a second. Einstein didn't say that money is fair, or opportunity is fair, or even talent is fair. He said time is the only fair thing, because all of us, no matter who we are, receive the same 24 hours in a day. The only difference lies in what we choose to do with it, especially the hours that nobody forces us to use in a certain way. Your free time is like a hidden budget. If you know how to spend it, you can build skills, shape habits, and create a better life. If you misuse it, it can slowly transform you into a lazy person, an addict, or someone who loses control of their own future. That's why today I want to dive deep into this topic. I want to analyze Einstein's words with you, not just as a lesson we nod at, but as a reality we live by. Because in the end, free time is not just time. It's the most important investment you'll ever make in yourself. So let's break it down together. Now that we've introduced the idea, let's take a hard look at the problem. If Einstein was right that the difference between people lies in how they use their free time, then why do so many of us end up wasting it? Why do so many smart, capable people fall into the same traps? The truth is, free time is the breeding ground of addiction. Not the busy hours when your boss is watching, not the deadlines that keep you awake at night. Addiction doesn't grow when you're working, it grows when you're free. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're addicted to social media. Be honest with yourself. Did that addiction come from your working hours? Of course not. You can't scroll Instagram while giving a presentation. You can't watch TikTok while your manager is explaining a project. People would notice. No, your addiction came from the moments when you were free, those little 5-minute breaks, that quick lunch alone, that time right before bed when no one is watching. You pick up your phone, you scroll, you laugh, you swipe again. At first it feels harmless, but over time your brain learns a reflex. Whenever I'm free, I reach for my phone. That reflex is powerful. It's like training a dog. You ring the bell, the dog comes running. In your case, you get free time, you grab the phone. And the more you repeat it, the stronger the reflex becomes. Before you know it, you can't even sit quietly for 5 minutes without feeling anxious. You need that screen. This is how an addict is born. Not because of the busy hours, but because of the empty hours. And the scary thing is, free time doesn't just produce phone addicts. It can produce alcoholics. It can produce gamblers. It can produce people who waste decades of their life chasing quick pleasure. Now think about the younger generation. At least older people grew up in a world without constant screens. They had childhoods filled with outdoor play, with conversations with books. But the new generation, They are born with phones in their hands, computers in their bedrooms, the internet everywhere. And you know what that means? They also have more free time than ever. College students, teenagers, even kids, they live in an ocean of free hours. And every one of those hours can either build their future or quietly destroy it. Take a college student, for example. 4 years in school can be a golden opportunity. But if all that free time is poured into gaming, streaming, or scrolling, then what happens? Creativity fades. Critical thinking weakens. Self-control collapses. Because the truth is simple, what you do in your free time becomes who you are. Let's push this further. Imagine you want to create a new idea. You sit down, you think, and after 5 minutes, you feel restless. You can't handle the discomfort, so you pick up your phone. Or maybe you're exercising, you start strong, but 10 minutes in, you pause to check notifications. That small distraction kills momentum. Now imagine repeating that cycle for years. How can you ever expect to solve hard problems? How can you expect to do the kind of deep work that earns high salaries, promotions, or business success? You can't. Because deep work requires focus, and focus is built in your free time. This is why so many people feel trapped. They work hard, but their mind is weak. Their attention span is broken. They've trained themselves to escape discomfort instead of facing it. And all of it, every single bit, was shaped in their free time. So here's the hard truth: your free time can quietly destroy your future. It's not just about fun and relaxation. It's about the habits you are programming into your brain when nobody is forcing you to do anything. And unless you face this reality, you will spend your life wondering why you are stuck, why you are not moving forward, why your diligence doesn't pay off. The answer is right here. We've looked at the problem. We've seen how free time, when wasted, creates addictions and slowly erodes our focus. But now, let's flip the perspective. Let's talk about the hidden power of free time, the way it can become the most valuable resource you'll ever own. Think of free time as the compound interest of life. Just as money grows when you invest it consistently, so does your character, your knowledge, and your skills when you invest your free minutes wisely. Every day may feel small, but over months and years, those minutes transform into mastery. The science behind free time. Our brains are not fixed. Neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity, the ability of the brain to rewire itself through practice and repetition. Every time you use your free time to learn a new word, practice a new chord, or reflect on a new idea, you are literally reshaping your brain. On the flip side, every time you use your free time to scroll endlessly, you're also rewiring your brain, only this time toward distraction and short-term dopamine hits. That's the danger, but it's also the opportunity. Free time is a double-edged sword. It can dull your mind or sharpen it. The student case study. Let's take a college student as an example. Imagine 2 students with the same classes, same teachers, and same 24 hours. Student A spends his evenings gaming for 3 or 4 hours. He laughs. He feels entertained, but nothing remains the next day. Student B spends just 30 minutes a day reading books outside the syllabus on business, technology, history, or psychology. Over 4 years, that adds up to 730 hours of additional learning. That's more than 120 books. Who do you think will graduate with a sharper mind, broader perspective, and a competitive edge? Not the one with higher grades, but the one who used free time as a tool to expand beyond the minimum. The quiet builder of skills. The most remarkable people in history, scientists, musicians, athletes, entrepreneurs, didn't simply rely on their working hours. Their greatness was born in the hours nobody saw. Michael Jordan didn't just practice during team training. He stayed after practice using his free time to shoot hundreds more baskets. Albert Einstein himself spent his spare time thinking about problems nobody had assigned him. Steve Jobs tinkered with design ideas in garages and dorm rooms. The pattern is clear: the hours we own completely. The hours no one is forcing upon us are the very hours that separate ordinary lives from extraordinary ones. The emotional reality. Now let's make this personal. Think of every hour you've spent aimlessly scrolling through social media. What if just one of those hours had been spent learning a new skill, coding, public speaking, writing, or even cooking? What if those hours had been invested in your health, your relationships, or your personal growth? 1 hour may not seem like much, but here's the truth. Your future family could be living a different life because of how you choose to spend 1 free hour today. That's the hidden power of free time. It's not just about self-improvement, it's about legacy. Every wasted hour doesn't just hurt you. It hurts the people who depend on you, who look up to you, who will either benefit or suffer from the person you become. The choice in every moment. This is why free time is never neutral. It always tilts one way or the other. When you're free, you're training something. You're either training focus, or distraction strength, or weakness mastery, or mediocrity. So the next time you reach for your phone without thinking, pause and ask yourself, what am I really training right now? If you want to see your life differently 5 years from now, you don't need to overhaul everything at once. You simply need to treat each slice of free time as sacred. Contrast example? Let me give you one more picture. Imagine 2 young professionals starting their first job at the same company. Both work hard from 9 to 5. But after work, the first goes home, eats dinner, and binge watches TV until midnight. The second goes home, eats dinner, and spends just an hour each evening learning digital marketing, or taking an online course or writing a blog. Fast forward 3 years. The first is still in the same position complaining about low pay. The second has doubled his skills, built a personal brand, and maybe even launched a side business. Did their working hours look different? No. The difference was in their free time. Your free time, your identity. Let's be brutally honest. If you spend most of your free time consuming entertainment, you will shape yourself into a consumer. If you spend most of your free time creating learning building, you will shape yourself into a creator. That's why free time is so powerful. It's not just a break, it's a mirror. It reflects who you are and predicts who you will become. The hidden power unleashed. So here's the lesson: free time is not wasted time unless you waste it. It's the most fertile ground for transformation. You don't need to quit your job to change your life. You don't need a lottery ticket. You don't need to wait for permission. You already hold the key the way you use your free hours. Free time is the most democratic resource on earth. It doesn't care about your background, your past mistakes, or your current paycheck. It only cares about what you do with it today, tomorrow, and the day after. So ask yourself, are you using your free time as a weapon to rise higher, or as a poison that slowly drags you down? Because the answer to that question will decide who you become. We've seen how free time can build or break us. Now let's dive into a deeper truth, one that most people ignore. Hard work alone does not guarantee success. Working 8, 10, even 12 hours a day may make you feel diligent, but if all that effort is simply repeating the same tasks, you are not moving up, you're only moving sideways. The sideways trap. What do I mean by going sideways? It's when your hard work simply maintains your current position. You show up on time, you finish your tasks, you do what's required, and at the end of the day, you feel tired, but nothing in your life has changed. Going sideways is deceptive because it looks like progress. You're sweating, you're busy, you're exhausted, but in reality, you're just running in place. Like a hamster on a wheel, you burn energy but stay in the same cage. And here's the painful truth: most people spend their entire lives in the sideways trap. They confuse activity with advancement. They mistake being busy for being successful. The upward path. Now contrast that with the upward path. Going up means deliberately raising the threshold of what you can do, what you understand, and how much value you bring to the world. It's not about repeating the same old tasks faster. It's about learning tasks that are harder, deeper, and more impactful. The upward path demands that you use your free time differently. Instead of numbing yourself after work, you invest in skills that expand your possibilities. And every new skill lifts you to a higher level where new opportunities appear. The tailor example. Let me illustrate with a simple trade: tailoring. A garment worker may spend 12 to 14 hours a day sewing clothes. That's exhausting. That's diligent. But no matter how perfectly or quickly they sew, they remain a garment worker. That's sideways. Now imagine that same worker decides to invest free time into learning design. At first it's difficult, it may take years, but eventually they don't just sew garments, they create them. They design patterns, they choose fabrics. Suddenly, they've stepped onto a higher rung. That's upward. From there, new doors open. They can open a small shop. They can brand their designs. They can sell on platforms like Etsy, Amazon, or their own boutique. If they then learn business skills, marketing, management, sales, they rise even higher, moving from worker to entrepreneur. All of this was built on the foundation of free time. The same worker, the same 24 hours, but two very different futures, sideways or upward. Modern examples. The tailor story is just one example. Let's make it more modern. Office worker. You finish your spreadsheets and emails every day. That's sideways. But if you use your evenings to learn coding automation or data analysis, suddenly you can solve harder problems, demand higher pay, or even freelance on the side. That's upward. Truck driver. You complete your deliveries on time. That's sideways. But if you study logistics management in your off hours, you can one day manage routes, optimize fleets, or even own your own transport company. That's upward. Restaurant cook. You prepare meals every shift. That's sideways. But if you learn food science, nutrition, and entrepreneurship in your spare time, you can create a brand, publish recipes, or open your own restaurant. That's upward. Do you see the pattern? Sideways work keeps you alive. Upward work changes your life. Why free time decides the path. The workplace rarely teaches you how to move up. Employers want you to be efficient, not necessarily visionary. So if you rely only on your 9 to 5 to shape your future, you'll likely stay where you are. The upward path requires deliberate personal investment. It requires you to say, my free time is not just for recovery, it's for reinvention. That reinvention doesn't happen at the office. It happens in your evenings, your weekends, your quiet hours, the slices of life where nobody is telling you what to do. That's where you practice, learn, and grow. The mindset shift. The difference between sideways and upward often comes down to one simple question. Am I using my free time to repeat or to raise? Repeat means scrolling, gaming, binging activities that recycle the same feelings day after day. Raise means reading, practicing, creating activities that expand your skills and vision. And here's the good news, you don't need to transform overnight. 1 hour a day used for raising instead of repeating can tilt the entire direction of your life. The emotional weight. Let's be real for a moment. Many people work themselves to exhaustion, only to discover years later that they're stuck in the same position, with the same salary and the same dissatisfaction. They wonder, why didn't my diligence pay off? The answer is heartbreaking because their diligence was sideways. They gave everything to maintain what they had, but almost nothing to build what they didn't yet have. Meanwhile, others who worked just as many hours but invested their free time upward overtook them. They didn't work harder, they worked higher. Breaking the trap. The sideways trap is comfortable because it feels familiar. You know the tasks, you know the routine. But comfort is the enemy of growth. To break the trap, you must deliberately choose discomfort in your free time study, a subject that confuses you, practice a skill that frustrates you, attempt a project that scares you. That discomfort is the sign you're going upward. That's the sign your free time is working for you, not against you. Closing the gap. Here's the bottom line. Sideways work keeps you employed. Upward work makes you irreplaceable. Sideways work gives you a paycheck. Upward work builds your future. And the lever that determines which path you take is not your boss, not your company, not the economy. It's how you use your free time. So let me ask you right now in your life, are you going sideways or are you going up? We've talked about the danger of wasted free time and the difference between going sideways and going up. Now it's time to give you a practical framework, a system you can apply starting today. Because inspiration without application is just entertainment. So here's the challenge: 30 minutes a day. That's it. Just half an hour. Not 3 hours. Not a full weekend retreat. 30 minutes a day is enough to transform your life if you use it correctly. Let me show you how. The 33-1 rule. I call it the 33-1 rule. 30 minutes a day of intentional, focused, free time. 3 pages of reading as a non-negotiable minimum. 1 higher skill project to channel your growth. This simple formula may look small, but like compound interest, its impact multiplies over time. Step 1. Protect 30 minutes. First, you must claim those 30 minutes. Don't wait for them to appear. They won't. Life will always find a way to fill your schedule with noise. So schedule them like you would a meeting. Put them on your calendar. Tell your family. Turn off notifications. Treat those 30 minutes as sacred, because they are. Morning works best for many people before the world distracts you. For others, late evening feels more natural. The exact time doesn't matter as much as the consistency. Step 2. Read 3 pages a day. Why 3 pages? Because it's small enough that you can't make excuses yet, big enough to create momentum. 3 pages a day equals about 1,000 pages a year. That's 3 to 5 books, even if you never read more than the minimum. And here's the trick: once you start, you rarely stop at just 3. You'll read 5, 10, maybe 50. But the floor is always 3, and that floor builds the habit. Choose books that raise your threshold: biographies of great leaders, books on psychology, finance, communication, history, or your specific career field. Avoid content that simply entertains. You want words that sharpen you, not just stories that distract you. Step 3. Focus on 1 higher skill project. This is the heart of the framework. Pick 1 project that requires learning, practice, and persistence. Not 10 projects, not scattered goals, just 1. Examples. If you're an office worker, your project could be learning Python to automate reports. If you're in sales, your project could be mastering persuasive writing or public speaking. If you're a creative, your project could be building a portfolio or starting a YouTube channel. The project must be measurable and skill-based. Something that once mastered raises your value in the marketplace. Something that shifts you from sideways to upward. Use your 30 minutes to chip away at this project daily. Progress may feel slow, but remember, 30 minutes a day adds up to 150 hours in a year. That's nearly a month of full-time work dedicated to 1 new skill. That's life-changing. Habit replacement, not just removal. Here's a key principle: you can't simply remove bad habits. You must replace them. If you just tell yourself don't scroll or don't watch Netflix, you'll fail. Your brain hates empty space. Instead, swap the action. When you feel the urge to pick up your phone, grab your book instead. When you want to binge a show, watch a 20-minute tutorial, and then reward yourself with 1 episode. Slowly, the replacement becomes the new reflex. Practical examples of replacement. Replace 30 minutes of social media at night with 30 minutes of journaling your day and writing 3 insights. Replace 1 gaming session with 30 minutes on Duolingo or a language podcast. Replace 2 YouTube comedy videos with 1 TED Talk or online lecture. It's not about eliminating joy. It's about redirecting your free time toward activities that give you both enjoyment and growth. Create a ritual. Humans thrive on rituals. Make your 30 minutes predictable, consistent, and even sacred. Maybe you light a candle, make tea, and sit in the same chair every morning with your book. Maybe you close your laptop, put on headphones, and dive into your project at the same hour each night. When your brain associates the ritual with growth, resistance fades. You no longer have to fight willpower, it becomes automatic. The emotional motivation. Let's put some emotional weight behind this. Imagine yourself a year from now. 2 versions of you exist. One version scrolled for 30 minutes each day. The other read 3 pages, worked on 1 project, and built a ritual. Which version will be more confident, more skilled, and more prepared for opportunity? Which version will earn more, think deeper, and feel prouder? That choice is yours. And the difference is not 10 hours a day. It's just 30 minutes. The long-term math. Let's calculate again. 30 minutes, day, x 300 days, and 9,000 hours minutes. 9,000 minutes plus 60 150 hours. 150 hours. Yasher 1 full month of 8-hour work days. In other words, by simply redirecting 30 minutes of free time a day, you can give yourself a free month of focused learning every single year. 5 years of this equals 750 hours, half a year of full-time mastery. Do you realize how much that separates you from everyone else? Practical action plan. Choose your 30-minute slot, write it down. Commit to 3 pages daily. Start tonight. Select one project, not 5, just one. Design a ritual. Same time, same place, same trigger. Track progress. Use a calendar or journal. Don't break the chain. That's it. Simple, clear, non-negotiable. Closing this section. Free time doesn't need to be complicated. You don't need a grand strategy or a 10-step course. You just need to reclaim 30 minutes a day and direct it with purpose. If you do, you'll discover something incredible. Life doesn't change in giant leaps, it changes in tiny, consistent steps. And those steps taken daily in your free time can carry you further than you ever imagined. So start today. 30 minutes, 3 pages, 1 project. Repeat it long enough and you won't recognize yourself in a year. By now, the framework may sound simple: 30 minutes a day, 3 pages, 1 project. But let's be honest, simple does not mean easy. The real battle begins when you try to put this into practice. You'll face resistance. You'll face excuses. You'll face that voice in your head whispering, just do it tomorrow. So let's talk about the enemy of progress, resistance, and how to build the discipline to win. The reality of resistance. Every meaningful change in life will feel uncomfortable at first. That's normal. Your brain is wired to conserve energy. It prefers habits that are familiar even if they're harmful. So when you decide to replace scrolling with reading or TV with skill practice, your brain protests. It tells you you're tired. It tells you you deserve rest. It tells you one day won't matter. This resistance is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of growth. It means you are crossing the line between sideways and upward. If you never feel resistance, you're not stretching yourself. Why motivation alone fails. Here's a hard truth: motivation will not save you. Motivation is like caffeine, strong at first, but it wears off quickly. You can't build your future on random bursts of energy. What you need instead is systems. Systems are habits, environments, and accountability structures that make the right choice easier and the wrong choice harder. Tool number 1, environment design. Your environment shapes your behavior more than you think. If your phone is on your desk, you'll reach for it. If chips are in the pantry, you'll eat them. So design your environment to support discipline. Put your phone in another room during your 30 minutes. Lay your book on your pillow so you see it before bed. Keep your guitar, notebook, or laptop open in the same corner where you always practice. The less friction between you and the good habit, the more likely you are to follow through. Tool number 2, accountability. We are more likely to keep promises we make to others than those we make to ourselves. That's why accountability works. Find a friend or colleague who shares a growth goal. Check in weekly. Post your 30-minute goal on social media and update your progress. Join an online community or study group. Even a little social pressure can transform "I'll do it later" into "I can't skip today." Tool number 3, micro goals. One of the biggest killers of discipline is setting goals that are too big. If you decide you'll read 100 pages every night, you'll fail. If you decide you'll work out an hour daily when you've never exercised, you'll quit. That's why micro goals matter. Start ridiculously small. 3 pages, 10 push-ups, 5 minutes of practice. Small goals feel too easy to skip, and that's the point. Once you start, momentum kicks in. Remember, discipline is not about giant leaps. It's about showing up every single day without breaking the chain. Tool number 4, the reward system. Your brain loves rewards. If you never reward yourself, discipline feels like punishment. So attach small rewards to your 30-minute ritual. After you read 3 pages, enjoy a cup of your favorite coffee. After you complete your practice, allow yourself 1 episode of that show. After a week of consistency, treat yourself to something small but meaningful. The key is to make the reward reinforce the habit, not replace it. Stories of discipline. Let's ground this in reality. The self-taught coder. A warehouse worker spent 30 minutes a day learning to code on free platforms. After 2 years, he landed a junior developer job. Same 24 hours, same warehouse shifts, but his free time changed his career. The single mom. She worked 2 jobs, raised 2 kids, and still carved out 30 minutes each night to study bookkeeping. Within 3 years, she built her own small business, earning more with fewer hours. The musician. He replaced 30 minutes of scrolling with 30 minutes of guitar practice. After 1 year, he wasn't just playing for fun, he was performing locally and teaching beginners online. These stories share one theme: discipline built in free time creates opportunities far bigger than the sacrifice. Replacing, not just removing. One of the most important lessons is this: you can't simply remove a bad habit. You must replace it with a better one. If you stop scrolling without having something else prepared, boredom will drag you back. If you quit gaming cold turkey, the void will feel unbearable. That's why the framework works. It gives you something clear, simple, and structured to do instead. Life isn't about subtraction, it's about substitution. The emotional battle. Sometimes discipline isn't about strategy. Sometimes it's about heart. You need a reason bigger than comfort. Ask yourself, what kind of future do I want? Who do I want to become for my family? What story do I want to tell about these years of my life? When the excuses come, and they will remember that you're not just fighting for 30 minutes, you're fighting for your future self. The long fight. Building discipline is not a one-week project. It's a lifelong fight. There will be days you win and days you lose. That's okay. Progress is not about perfection, it's about direction. Every time you get back up, you strengthen the muscle of resilience. Every time you choose growth over distraction, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more. Closing this section. So let's be real, yes, it's hard. Yes, it's easier to relax, to scroll, to escape. But comfort is cheap. Discipline is priceless. Your free time is the arena where this battle takes place. No one else can fight it for you. Not your parents, not your boss, not your friends, only you. And that's the beauty of it. Because if only you can fight it, then only you can win it. So the next time resistance whispers in your ear, remember this: discipline is not a punishment. It's the ultimate act of self-respect. 30 minutes, 3 pages, 1 project, every day, that's how you win. We've come a long way in this conversation. We started with Einstein's words, that the only fair thing in life is time, and the difference between people is how they use their free time. We explored the dangers, how addictions are born in free hours, not busy ones. We talked about the sideways trap where diligence keeps you stuck versus the upward path where free time becomes a ladder to higher skills and greater opportunities. We built a simple framework, 30 minutes, 3 pages, 1 project, and we faced the reality of resistance and discipline. Now let's bring it all together. Your free time is the most powerful force shaping your future. It can lift you up or it can drag you down. It can build talent, focus, and discipline, or it can create weakness, distraction, and regret. The choice is always yours. Einstein's insight is even more urgent today than when he said it. In a world filled with endless distractions, free time is no longer neutral. It's either your greatest asset or your greatest enemy. So let me leave you with this challenge starting today. Protect just 30 minutes of your free time. Use it to read, to learn, to create, to build. Do it every day. And watch how 1 year from now, your life, your confidence, and your opportunities will be completely different. Remember, this life is fair because time is fair. Everyone gets the same 24 hours. What separates you from the crowd is not how busy you are, but how you choose to spend the hours when no one is watching. Thank you so much for watching this episode. If today's message spoke to you, please hit the like button, share this video with a friend who needs it, and subscribe so you don't miss the next lesson. And before you leave, I want you to take one simple action comment below and tell me one way you're going to use your free time differently starting today. Let's make this commitment together. Until next time, remember, your free time decides your future. use it wisely. Goodbye for now, and I'll see you next week.